Commercial real estate in Arizona represents one of the most dynamic and complex sectors of the real estate industry. This module explores the unique characteristics, responsibilities, and legal frameworks associated with commercial property ownership, leasing, and transactions. It ties together prior lessons on property types, land use, and regulatory oversight, while emphasizing the advanced competencies required of licensees working in commercial real estate. A critical component of commercial real estate practice is due diligence, the investigative process conducted before acquiring or leasing a property. Due diligence ensures that buyers and tenants fully understand the physical, financial, and legal condition of a property before closing. In Arizona, this includes examining environmental issues governed by the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, ADEQ, and the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Common environmental concerns include soil contamination, underground storage tanks, asbestos, and prior industrial use. A buyer or investor may be held liable under the Comprehensive Environmental Response, Compensation, and Liability Act, CERCLA, even if they were not the original polluter. Similarly, the Arizona Department of Agriculture, ASDA, may require remediation if hazardous materials or pesticides are found on agricultural or commercial lands. Proper due diligence can prevent severe financial losses and legal exposure by identifying these risks before closing. Equally important is understanding the various types of commercial leases. 3 major categories govern how rent and expenses are shared between landlord and tenant. A gross lease, or full-service lease, requires the tenant to pay a single, fixed rent, while the landlord covers property expenses such as taxes, insurance, and maintenance. This is common in office buildings, where services like cleaning, security, and utilities are included in the rent. A net lease shifts some or all property expenses to the tenant. There are 3 common variations: single net, N. Tenant pays rent plus property taxes. Double net, NN. Tenant pays rent plus property taxes and insurance. Triple net, NNN. Tenant pays rent plus all operating expenses, including taxes, insurance, and maintenance. This is the most common lease in retail and industrial spaces. A percentage lease bases rent on a percentage of the tenant's gross sales, often with a minimum base rent. This is typical in shopping centers, allowing landlords to benefit from a tenant's business success. Understanding lease structure is vital because it directly impacts a property's net operating income, NOI, the capitalization rate, cap rate, and the property's overall market value. A licensee must be able to calculate and explain these metrics when advising clients. Commercial real estate transactions often begin with instruments expressing intent or preliminary commitment. The most common are letters of intent, LOI, non-binding documents outlining key deal terms, used before drafting a formal purchase or lease agreement. Option agreements, contracts granting a buyer or tenant the exclusive right to purchase or lease a property within a set timeframe, often for a fee. Purchase and sale agreements, binding contracts that finalize negotiated terms, subject to financing, zoning, and inspection contingencies. Each instrument serves a unique purpose in managing risk and defining the framework of the transaction. Financial literacy is another core competency for commercial practitioners. Licensees must understand property tax rates, which vary by county and are influenced by property classification, assessed value, and local mill rates. They should also be familiar with loan structures, such as conventional commercial loans, Small Business Administration, SBA, 504 loans, and bridge loans used for short-term financing. Evaluating return metrics such as return on investment, ROI, internal rate of return, IRR, and debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, is essential to advising investors effectively. For example, a DSCR below 1.25 may signal that a property's income is insufficient to cover debt obligations. which could affect loan approval. Commercial real estate also demands awareness of regulatory aspects, particularly zoning classifications and water rights. Zoning determines permissible land uses, such as industrial, office, retail, or mixed use, and is enforced through local municipalities under ARS Title IX, Chapter 4. Water rights can affect valuation and development feasibility, especially in areas governed by the Arizona Department of Water Resources, ADWR, within active management areas, AMAs. A commercial property that relies on groundwater pumping, for example, may face restrictions under Arizona's Groundwater Management Act of 1980. A well-prepared commercial real estate professional integrates this knowledge to guide clients through transactions ethically, lawfully, and strategically. Whether conducting environmental due diligence, analyzing lease structures, or navigating zoning regulations, the licensee's role is to ensure informed decision-making and minimize risk for all parties involved. Review summary. This module reinforced the importance of comprehensive due diligence in commercial real estate, particularly concerning environmental liabilities under ADEG and ASDA oversight. It detailed the distinctions among gross, net, and percentage leases, explaining their implications for expense allocation and valuation. Students learned to recognize key transaction instruments, such as letters of intent, option agreements, and purchase contracts, all of which play distinct roles in structuring deals. Financial literacy in property tax assessment, loan types, and investment metrics was emphasized, alongside regulatory concerns like water rights and zoning. Understanding these interrelated elements equips licensees to manage complex commercial transactions with confidence and compliance. Discussion prompts. Why is environmental due diligence especially critical in commercial property transactions? Answer. Because buyers and tenants can inherit liability for environmental contamination under federal and state laws, even if they did not cause the damage. How does a triple net lease differ from a gross lease? And why might an investor prefer one over the other? Answer. A triple net lease shifts most operating costs to the tenant, providing the landlord with stable, predictable income and reduced management responsibility. Why are letters of intent valuable in commercial negotiations? Answer. They clarify key terms and demonstrate serious interests before parties commit to a binding contract, helping prevent future disputes. What are some financial indicators that determine whether a commercial investment is viable? Answer. Net operating income, NOI, capitalization rate, cap rate, internal rate of return, IRR, and debt service coverage ratio, DSCR, are essential in evaluating investment health. How do zoning classifications and water rights influence the viability of a commercial project in Arizona? Answer. Zoning determines permissible uses and density, while water rights affect development feasibility and compliance with state conservation laws. Closing remarks. Commercial real estate represents the highest level of complexity within the industry, requiring mastery of law, finance, environmental science, and local planning policy. Arizona's statutes and administrative codes reinforce the principle that informed consent and responsible disclosure are essential for protecting the public and maintaining ethical practice. By applying due diligence, understanding lease structures, and remaining informed about environmental and zoning regulations, licensees uphold professional standards while promoting sustainable growth in Arizona's commercial markets.